Hello everybody, welcome back to Space Pickle Designs. Today I have something that I want to try out, and hopefully this will be a pretty cool necklace made from the GGC treasure bag, and this is in the Demure colorway. And even with all of these beads that I have and components that I have laying out here, I still have this many left. So if you remember, I made this super sparkly necklace with all the crystals. Well, I still have crystals left, of course. And so I'm primarily going to be working with the opaque ones. So opaque components out of this box on this one, and a bunch of, as you can see, the pendants. So I wanted to make kind of a floating crystal necklace with dangles and charms. And so I kind of wanted to put this component together and have it on the side as like a super dangler. And then have these touch points elsewhere. And so I'm using my big clear crystals from the mix. I'm using a bunch of those like cross-cut barrels, some of the roses, and then like one of all of the shell charms that I had. I really like this one. That one's super cool. I'm going to put that one up there. So the way that I'm going to try to do this is by making lots of different strands of like craziness using this nylon fishing line that I'm going to use. It says especially designed for bead stringing. And this is super, I don't even know where I got this from. I think I got it from like a vintage haul. Somebody like destashed their haul or something like that, like maybe an estate sale. But it is a super fine fishing line and super malleable. It's very soft. And so I'm going to take lines of this and make crystal floating chain kind of situations. And I'm going to do that without putting on the charms. So all of this stuff will kind of go to the wayside. I'm going to try and keep it in order. I think something like that. It's okay. I will figure it out. And so I'm going to take primarily, I think, these components. I might not use the roses in this way because I don't know if I'll be able to keep them from flipping. We might have to figure that out in a little bit. I will be taking some of these, definitely some of these clear crystal triangles. And I want to do these instead of like the gold ones because I'm working with more of that like kind of a cooler tone. So because I got the like the purples and the pinks in there. And so we're just gonna like spread those throughout. And the whole point of this is going to be making multiple of these strands that I'm going to then hook together. And so you'll see. So what I'm gonna do, let me take, this stuff is super cheap and I've got a super lot of it. So I am going to take about probably 20 inches because really what I'm looking for is probably about a 10-inch, maybe, yeah, probably a 10-inch like piece when it's finished, but I want to have some extra on either side. So I am not going to be stingy with my nylon wire. So I'm going to take a piece, probably a little bit more than 20 inches, just a couple more. And I'm going to start with a bead that I want to string. And we can start this with the little triangles, but I'm going to start it with the barrels so it's easier for you to see. And I'm just going to be making lines of barrels. So I'm going to start and I'm going to leave at least 2 inches on the end of my wire, or not my wire, but my nylon thread. I'm going to bring this down at least 2 inches down. And I'm just taking the end of the wire or the line and going back through the bead. So as if you were putting on a bead stopper, okay? So now your bead is frozen in position. You have a lot to work with on the end here for, you know, grouping them all together. Pull it tight, not too tight, but it looks like it's settling in quite nicely. If you have too thick of a nylon, it is going to bunch up on you and back itself out of the beads. This one is very malleable, perfect for beads. And I'm just going to make sure I'm feeding on these crystals in just random order. I'm going to bring them down, and I'm probably going to want them about spaced about like that. You definitely want some space in there, but you don't want too much, because then you're just going to have to do more and more strands to get the fullness. And for this one, I'll probably space them pretty similarly. You can go like kind of a hodgepodge route if you want. Again, I'm gonna bring this down about the same width away from the other crystal. And as you can see, it does eat up some of your thread. So that's why I got like double what I would need in order to finish this. Bringing your crystal down. Taking the end of it, end of the nylon, and going back through the crystal. And so this is a way that you can make like a floating necklace. If you really wanted to be dainty about this, you could just do a necklace like this, actually. And it'll probably be pretty on trend right now, but I'm being extra for sure. And this doesn't have to be perfect, because the beauty of it is you are going to have like 10 of these strands because we have a lot of beads to work with still. So as you can see, this one's just like a little bit off. You can either adjust it or leave it. Okay. There we go. Like that. And then you just finish out the line. So I'm gonna finish this one and then I'll come back. All right, so I know it looks like a mess on my bead mat right now, but this is kind of a messy process. So about that 22 inches was just enough to make a 9-inch strand from bead to end bead here. And so just know when you are doing this and you have lots of smaller beads like what we're going to use here, these triangles, you're going to need way more nylon than what I pulled off. So you can either well, I wouldn't advise working from the spool, because it might get pretty tricky doing that. But yeah, just don't be afraid. This stuff is super cheap, very affordable. And it comes with a lot on the spool, as you can see right there. So I'm going to be plentiful with it. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing for a full like triangle bead strand. And again, I'm probably gonna take double the amount of nylon, because I'm gonna use tons of little ones. And I'm going to put them closer together as well, so I will need more. And again, we want to just make sure that all of our strands have at least 2 inches on each side to work with, because I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to connect them all, but I think probably with a crimp tube. But look how pretty, it just looks like a little floating diamond. And so actually those necklaces right now are just super popular. And so yeah, I'm gonna pull out from the other side. You can actually work from the middle. It'll probably be a little bit easier on your just pulling all the nylon through. But I want to take this, and I probably want to do them close like this, because I'm gonna like mirror a baby's breath look with these clear triangles, just a little sparkle, or like little raindrops. And so you're just really just doing this relaxing little process the whole way through. So they're about 1/2 inch apart, and just look how sparkly that is. And I'll get you closer so you can see what it looks like on the strand. And so this is actually the part of the loop. I don't know if you can see that, but it's very difficult to see. It just looks like 2 little floating raindrops Here is a close-up of the other strand. As you can see, there's very little bubbling. Not enough to where it would push the bead out one way or the other. And I think it just looks so beautiful and dainty. This is kind of exactly what I'm going for. And so as you can see, like when we put these guys together, it's gonna look really cool stacked, and hopefully there will be a little bit of play and suspension here, and we can try to make that happen when it comes to like bunching them up together with the jump rings and the charms and everything. So we just want to make sure that we have a lot of real estate to work with here. So I'm going to go ahead and make this strand, and I'll be back to show you what it looks like when it's finished. All right, so I got the second strand done. Look how pretty it is. And so as you can see, like the more that we do, I think the better that it's going to look. And when we like get these together in like little spots, we can make one bigger than the other and like create some like bunching effects. And so with this one, even though I'm at 9 inches right now, so I really match with kind of this strand here, I might actually go ahead and put a couple more just so we have some slack when it comes to bunching them up and together and stuff. And so yeah, we can always take the beads off later if we don't need them. And yeah, so let's go ahead and create more strands. I'm gonna make one with all of the shells. I'm gonna make at least 3 more with the barrels, or at least 2 more with the barrels, and then at least 2 more with these crystals. We have so many. Once you like spread them out, like you just have so many to play with, and this is going to create volume. This is going to be like the coolest stuff ever. And I'm just so excited about it. With these guys too, I can make one kind of evenly spacing these out as well, and just make them their own strand, and we can kind of adjust them as we go, because we kind of want these to be in a particular spot since there's only 4 of them. And yeah, so I'm just gonna get cooking. I'm gonna turn on some true crime. Let me know what you guys are watching on TV these days or on YouTube. Recommend some channels for me. I would love to check out what you guys are into. So I'm gonna go ahead, work on this for a little bit, and I will come back when I have the volume that I want. Or if I run out of beads, which I don't think I will with this treasure bag. All right, so this is what I have so far. I'm gonna move my charms out of the way. And I have quite a few of our strands here. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 strands. You can do as many as you want. I would like to show you just how many beads I have left. So I probably have enough of these to make another one, enough of these to make another strand, and quite a few of these to make another strand as well. And then you can add in whatever other beads that you think would fit. I think those would work pretty well. These would as well. So I've kind of gathered them together and bunched them up in this way. And I'm going to keep one side bunched. I'm going to take the other side, and I think what I'm going to try to do is crimp them. So let me get a crimp tube. I hope this will work. I don't know if it will, but I think it will, because these are pretty thin. And just making sure that we're kind of like crimping up against where the beads start. And so because my strands are all different sizes, let's see, or different lengths, I mean. I don't know if you hear that crazy thunderstorm going on. But I am going to not make you watch me feed all of these on. I'm going to pause it real quick, and I'm going to feed all of these on. So I've gotten all of my strands on a crimp tube. And just to make things a little bit easier on me, I have like cut them all the same length. I don't know if you can see that. So that I can fold these back down, hopefully into the crimp tube. And this is just going to take a little bit of guidance and coaxing. And so I believe they are all going to fit, but like there's still a couple hanging out. I'm not going to make you watch me struggle with that. I'm just going to like keep feeding them in bunches at a time, and I'll come back when they are all in. So what we have here is our loop, and I'm going to keep it pretty large just because I just don't want them like flying all over the place. I'm going to actually do a regular crimp because there's so many strands here. I just want that extra with the foldedness. Keep those in. Okay. And I just wanted that. We can cover it with a crimp tube or a crimp cover in a second. And now we have a loop of our nylon cording. I will be putting a jump ring on that and adding some chain, but what I'm going to do right now is just do the same thing on the opposite side, and I will meet you back. So there's our little connection. All right, so I've made my connections here, and I jumbled my strands up a little bit. You can make sure that they're laying side by side if you like that look a little bit better. I just kind of like this looking as if it's like a net, like maybe one of the nets that have like a piece of it has been broken off and there's like shells in there, right? And so this measures like about 8 inches, it looks like. And so I have 3.5 inches of chain. I'm just gonna go ahead and make the structure of the necklace first, just so if that's the only thing you wanna make and you don't wanna add charms, then you don't have to. And so the tricky part about this is just going to be taking these, all of the jump rings, and put all of the nylon strands in there. With that, I'm then gonna add my piece of chain. And I think it already looks so like magical and ethereal. I really like this one so far. I think if we can get the charms to work, it'll look pretty cool too. Okay, got all of our nylon strands in there. Put on our chain. Move our jump rings to the side. And then we can go ahead and add, I'm going to use a clasp from the box. The chain was actually brought from one of her previous treasure bags, so I had a little bit of that gold left over. And honestly, if you didn't want to put charms on it, you could make this like the netting part, the whole necklace. I've seen necklaces like that before. It would look really cool, in my opinion. Since we are bringing some of this gold chain in, I do think we should try and add some of the charms, but I'll show you what it looks like in both ways. So there it is. There's the base of the necklace to my preferred length, and I think that it just looks so cute and pretty. You're using up a lot of those beads, and you certainly have enough to use. But what I'm gonna do now is figure out how I want to add some of these, and I think the way to do it is going to, because there's 5 that I want to add, is find a way to portion off in pretty equidistant measures, because we have the 5 here, and place charms on. And so what I want to do is actually place a jump ring over all the strands, or at least a few if we can't get all of them. I have pretty large jump rings though, but I want to make sure that they also don't travel across the necklace, so that'll be the tricky part. So making it snug enough to where it's not going to travel, but also like preserving some of that looseness. And I think the best way is by starting from the middle and going out. So with this, this is 2 pieces. I don't know if you guys see that. This is 2 pieces of the necklace, or of 2 charms. Oh my goodness, I cannot talk today. I am so sorry. Nothing is particularly wrong. I'm just super tired, so I apologize. And I want to see if this jump ring is going to do it. So what I'm going to do is put this pendant on. And then do you see like the little loop in there? I'm gonna put that right in the middle, and oop, it's gonna work perfectly. I'm so happy. Because I didn't want to add much length if I didn't have to. So this is that. Because the ring is going this way, let's just go ahead and throw on a larger jump ring, kind of right in the middle of the necklace. And let me go get those large jump rings out. So I do have 2 different sizes. And I'm gonna try to put the smaller one on because it'll be more of a drastic kind of change. And the only thing that I wanna make sure that I'm doing is, of course, getting them in the middle. But I also made this 1 strand here with my 4 large crystals. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4. And just making sure that they're kind of equidistant to one another. So I'm just going to kind of like part everything, put everything in together if we can. And that looks about good. Put our pendant on. I'm going to lift it up. So now what I want to test is to see if this is going to stay pretty much in the middle. And it looks like it will. So here's our first charm. And really, you could stop if you wanted to right there. But I think I'm going to continue. So the next 2 that I want to add are these 2. And then possibly those 2. So if I'm looking at how it would lay, I'm probably going to need to add these charms right before the big, or if we do it right after, this is what it would look like. I'm not sure because we might want them closer together. So this is going to be like your discretion. And just, you know, thinking about how it's going to lay on your chest. If it's up higher, there's going to be more of this kind of situation. If it's down lower, because of how loose it is, it's going to lay more like this. So you might want the pendants to be closer to the bottom, because otherwise up here, it might not lay correctly. But since this is a 16-ish inch necklace, it's going to lay pretty wide. Let's see. Do we do it like this? I think we'll try it like that and see how it goes. So it looks like I am going to need, for these, if I can put this jump ring on and it hangs right, that would be ideal. It looks like there's some play in there. Let's see about this one, because these are larger pendants, or larger jump rings. So I'm going to put it right outside of that crystal, the big crystal that we're using as our guides. And we can put make it a little bunchy. Okay, almost on. There we go. This should prevent it from falling closer towards the pendant at least. I think that was a smart move. Didn't do it intentionally like that, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably pretty smart. Okay, there's the first one. Here's our second. And again, right after this crystal here. So find that natural break. As long as all of them are through, we can kind of adjust it a little bit. Okay. So here's those two. And let's go ahead and try to place these as well. So this one, I am going to need to place a smaller jump ring. Hopefully this will fit. I really like the addition of this guy. And I'm just gonna put our jump ring over top, just like this. Okay. All right. So you have our jump ring on there. This one won't need one. So now we're testing. And it's on. Doesn't have as much swing as the other ones, but I think it'll be okay. And then this, I think that'll be okay as well. We want to make sure that the pearl is to the front. Okay. So we're making sure that's hanging like this. And I'm going to do this right before the crystal, our last crystal on that strand. Okay. Then our last charm. Again, right before that crystal. All right, so here is our beautiful little seashell ocean net necklace. I think that's what I'm gonna call it, just because it kind of gives me that like net kind of look. And you can like move these around a little bit if you want a little more texture, right? So now we got a little bit more movement in there with some of the smaller strands. I can move more freely in between. It looks like our charms are going to stay about where they are, but some of those, like if you made a longer strand of these, like just the triangle crystals, they can move freely about a little bit. And I made those like just a little bit longer, just so there was some texture that we could play with. But it does look like I've jiggled it, and it looks like those charms are going to stay. If they don't end up staying in their respective little places, then I will give you an update on that. But here it is. Let me go ahead and place it on the table so you can see it. All right, so here she is. I just really like her. It's a little different than what I've been doing, and it was a lot of fun. This one took me a couple days to do just because I was just like relaxing, making my strands. You know, got busy with work and everything. So this would have been for me a 2-day necklace. But I think it turned out really cute. Especially since I'm not a huge like seashell person. Like to have something that even I think that I would wear, using some of those seashell themes is saying a lot, I think. And I think it's just because of all the beautiful beads and the colors that are in this treasure bag. So if you have not gotten a treasure bag before, go ahead and sign up for Gina's email list. And she always lets you know what's in these treasure bags before they are sold, so that it's not a surprise, you know what you're getting. And so you are sure to be happy with your purchase. Anyway, let me know what you thought about this necklace, what you would have changed if you would have kept it as a net. Would you have done the net all the way around? Let me know what your style would have been, and I hope you're staying safe and well, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.